All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
Life, liberty, and the
If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Make America great again.
The Big Mig.
All right, welcome back to the Big Mig Show. Here with your host, George Ballantine. I don't know, Lance's MIA. He tried to come in. He was having some tech difficulties. Plus, he's still sick. Oh, I just heard him. I heard the...
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll bring him in right now. Hope everybody's doing fine. All right, Lance, go. I'll fix your shots.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, guys. I apologize. I was having a little bit of a computer glitch this morning. I don't know. I had to restart twice. It wasn't picking up the camera for some reason. So, welcome to the Big Mig Show. I apologize. I'm a little sick today. Try to work my way through it. Of course, welcome to the show. Got a great guest today. George, how are you, brother?
I'm good. Lance, you're going to work through being sick. Just make sure you don't go to the gym because it makes it worse. You should let your body rest and heal.
I know.
You know, but you did it, though, bro.
Yeah, I did do it. You're
I know.
right. I did do it anyway.
I'm going to call you out because that's what I do.
You're right. You know, I'm trying to keep at the gym and try not to have any days off, and pretty tough anyway. So, listen, I apologize, you guys, for being late, but when I started up the computer, for some reason, it just wasn't doing what it should have been doing, so I had to restart it 2 different times. All right, we got a great guest today. Let's get her in here. There's no reason to leave her backstage.
No. Relax. She knows the deal. I already told her.
Okay.
Do your read, bro.
No, I'm not going to do the read today. I'm skipping it. Skipping the read.
Skipping
man.
it? What?
I'm skipping the read, buddy. I'm just going all in. I'm skipping the read.
That's because you're
I
sick,
try
right?
to reserve myself for the.
I'll do the read.
All right, you do the read then.
Don't worry about it. I got this, people. You know what I got? 62.2 gram prepper bars. They're perforated, easily broken down to your choice of 3 different denominations. Fit a multiple needs, whether it be for asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade. These prepper bars make a perfect gift for all those precious metal lovers out there. They're exclusively mined and minted in the great USA. They're selling out fast. They're available in both gold and silver. They're slim prepper bars. They fit neatly in your wallet. And listen, their utility enables use in any situation. All you got to do is go to genesisgoldgroup.com. Once again, genesisgoldgroup.com, or you can call 888-526-7154. Guess what? I know we're in July, but you know what? Christmas is going to be right around the corner. These are great stocking stuffers. I'm just saying. All right, Lance.
All right. Well, got the read out of the way. Of course, we're joined by Jennifer Esteban. She's the president and co-founder of United Independents and executive director of the Independent National Convention. She's leading a growing movement to strengthen independent political leadership, expand civic participation, and build a more representative and accountable American democracy. Now, that would be a breath of fresh air. I've got to tell you, with the way this biased uniparty is in D.C. So she's working at the intersection of strategy, communications, operations, and coalition building. She helps align leaders, organizations, and initiatives around a shared vision for renewing democratic institutions and creating new pathways for political participation beyond the traditional two-party system. Let's get her in here, George. No reason to leave her backstage.
Okay, welcome to the Big Mig Show, Jennifer Esteban. By the way, I'm going to say something. This is Deepak's better half. Just want to let everybody know. Everybody knows Deepak. This is his better half. Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Deepak's been on our show quite a bit. He's a close friend. We appreciate him. You know, it's often on this show, Jen, I don't know how often you've watched us, but it's often on this show that we talk about the uniparty in DC. And that really, it's just two sides of the same being. It's really just a big scam. It's the David Copperfield of politics, try to keep that division and chaos going because, oh my gosh, it's a Republican. It's a Democrat. All this garbage in between. And they just keep spinning it to the American public when really, it should just come down very simply. Forget political party. It's all about common sense. What's good for the country? What's good for the people? And I know that's what you're all about. for me, it's about being a constitutional republic with democratic values. A lot of people talk about democracy and they're confused about what democracy is. We were never supposed to be a democracy. It was always a constitutional republic. And of course, there were supposed to be only 17 subject matter specific in the Constitution that the government had a subject matter jurisdiction over. Of course, it's gone way beyond that. And the expansive part of government is what I consider the sleight of hand. It's the shell game. So give the audience a little bit of your background, how you decided to go down this path, because nobody starts out going, I want to be in politics. At least I didn't.
I did not plan on going into politics. I would say when I really started paying attention and wanted to get more involved, it was around 2015 when I saw a lot of people in my own community start going against each other and calling each other names. They somehow, there was this major split, even just in my own community, where people said, this is how you think about race. And if you don't, if you're not with us, you're against us. And I saw so much fracture within just my own friend group. And I said, how come, look at the things that are separating us. Look at the information. There's so much propaganda. You can't believe this. Look, I was trying to show people, and it was just so much stronger than what I was able to do. And I realized that there was a big game being played against us to divide us. And I said, we can't even talk to each other anymore. We can't even get on the same side of a problem, even though we fundamentally might agree. When we have different information and we have different facts, we're no longer playing with a shared reality. And I started getting more into studying how propaganda was working and studying how communication was breaking down. And I had to get more into leadership and how to bring together groups of people that were able to talk. And I think that was a big inspiration. But then what happened was, with all the breakdown in the communication, I just saw how they were pushing so many bad actions, bad laws, and it was just bad for the people. And I said, something needs to start happening. And then I saw some of my friends were jumping in to start helping. And I was like, I gotta get in this too. Like, I gotta help here. And then I came across Christopher Life, and he was putting on the Independent National Convention. And I told him, I was like, I want to be a part of what you're building. And then now, a couple of years ago, I joined officially on a full-time capacity to help him build an infrastructure that can start competing with the red and blue, system with everything that they've built. So our goal is to become a real competitor to what they're building and stop being this small afterthought of people who can't compete or can't be heard. And as I started getting more into that, I started seeing that really we can't compete because there's so many things blocking us. And that's why now I'm still here. I think there's a natural chance. And I think that it's important that people know what has been put in place to prevent independents from running.
Yeah, there are a lot of obstructions. Of course, the biggest one is money. It's so difficult to be competitive in these elections when you don't have a big pool of capital. They've made it
you know what,
expensive.
Lance? Elon Musk has a big pool of money. He was trying to do something, and he was going through with it and then stopped. I mean, he's got more money than anybody, and he stopped doing it. It's definitely tough. What's the obstacles in your way? Finding the money is the hard part. There is money out there, but nobody ever really wants to bet on the dark horse. That's the difficult part. So do you find that's a struggle, Jennifer, that, getting to the capital that's needed? Because prohibitively, I mean, what does it cost to get elected president of the United States? How many billions of dollars now? And what does it cost to be a congressional member? I'm shocked at the amount of money that has to be spent. And I don't think our founders and framers ever had any expectation or any idea that it would cost this kind of money to get elected. In fact, I think there should be limitations on it. Because isn't that one of the biggest obstructions you come up against?
I would say money is a big part of it, but let's just say we had a bank of, $10 billion to elect a president. What would happen is the two-party system would end up making sure that a state or multiple states are just unable to compete or unable to even get on the ballot. And I think getting the ballot is one of the biggest hurdles. you could have one state just outperform and say, hey, we're going to make it so hard for you to get on the ballot. We're going to make it so that you need, 100,000 signatures just to even be considered for the ballot. Then we're going to take you to court. We're going to try and find all different ways to kind of remove you. We're going to cost you a lot of your money. And if you don't get one single state, forget it. Like, you don't really have a chance if you can't get every single state. I think ballot access is a big problem. I think that a lot of people, like including Kennedy, for example, he had money, but he had to spend so much of it with lawyers and just legal costs, just being able to try and get on the ballot. And he didn't even make it on all the states.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly. Apologize for blowing my nose. I thought I had myself muted, guys. Man, I'm struggling here. You can tell, but listen, that's the issue. We talk to a lot of people that are tired of the political bias that's being spoon-fed to us by the Democrats and Republicans. We're sick of the lies. We're sick of the rest of it. But the difficulty comes from, how do we be competitive? Just like what you talked about. To me, that's just an obstruction of our system, our election system. It requires so many of those obligations that you have to meet. And of course, then you have to count on the election system being a free and fair election system, which currently it is not. And that's really an ugly thing. And I think most of the American public, Jen and George, I don't know, do you guys find that most of the American public really has no idea how complicated it is to run an election? Because I feel like they don't really understand it at all.
I think that people are surprised once they try to run an election to see how many obstacles they come into. There's a lot of people who actually run, and then I think they see there's between ballot access and people from the two-party system, sometimes even their own party. Sometimes somebody who wants to run independent will choose one of the two parties, and they'll say, okay, I'll run Republican or Democrat. And then they find that the Democrat in the Democrat Party in that state starts trying to do things to sabotage. So they'll install somebody that has a way to remove them through more money or through lawfare or through bad press or something. And so your own party, if you identify as a party, they'll even go against you because they're trying to prop up their own people. They have people that go, this is my person for this state, for this, for this campaign. So it's just incredibly hard. And I think people like Marianne Williamson, I heard her speak once, and she was saying, talking about how her own party was doing so much that made it so that she couldn't compete. They would go after her with bad press, and they were just not playing friendly.
We've heard that a lot here in Colorado. Yeah. That's very common. Colorado's been one of those states that Donald Trump has basically neglected, or the Republicans have neglected, haven't really given it much of an effort to win it. They don't really put a lot of money into it or any kind of effort because, of course, they're looking for the big electoral vote states. That's where they try to put their money. But that's the hard part. You don't see that money. Doesn't even matter whether it's a show that's trying to promote, constitutional values, that we're trying to unite the country. Because division and chaos is a tool of the left. We talk about that over and over on this show. They don't want us to get along. They need us to not get along so they can continue to run the political sham they're running. And it doesn't seem like many of us were hopeful that Donald Trump was going to perform in a different manner. We thought there was going to be this massive amount of arrests. We thought our election system would already be fixed by now. We're heading into the midterms, and I'm not hopeful about the outcome of it currently. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I don't think these people represent the public. I mean, I actually was joyful when I heard that Lindsey Graham was gone, that he had finally died. There's many congressional members that they're old as dirt. As horrible as that for me to say, I'd like to hear about Nancy Pelosi. I'd probably, I don't drink, but I'd probably have a drink if I heard Nancy Pelosi passed away. And that's the difficulty when you have these kind of people that are in power, that it's almost impossible to get them out. It's hard not to feel like that. And for us on this show, and George, you tell me if I'm wrong, I'm very frustrated. I thought Kash Patel, government gangsters, he said he was going to turn the FBI into a museum. I thought that we were going to have a DOJ that was going to be effectively going after people that were guilty, that committed treason and seditious conspiracy against the J6ers, that had lied about, so many of the things that came to our elections. But of course, we aren't getting any of that. George, what are your thoughts? Because I'm ready to blow a gasket. I'll be honest with you.
So let me reiterate. So Senator Lindsey Graham. So we don't wish death on anyone, and our hearts and prayers go out to his family and friends, getting them through this. And one thing, much as Lindsey Graham did do some fighting, but there's a bunch of decisions that we just didn't agree with. It is what it is. But I looked something up. and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, his net worth was like maybe 2 to 3 million. So he wasn't one of them politicians that was raking in the money through whatever programs trying to get it. He was actually, in that sense, one of the good persons. 2, 3 million. He's been there how long? He's senator. So I got to commend him on that. I mean, always we see, Jen and Lance, like elections, people say one thing, they'll do another. And you just talked about like how they install. Look how the Democrat Party was, like Bernie Sanders trying to install the main guy's senator. I can't even think of his name right now. The one that, had all these sexual assault charges on him. Now he's out and he's trying to control who comes and takes his place. He was, but it's not working out for him in that favor. But like I went to a Democratic meeting over here in for my area for the county. And as a GOP, actually I was meeting with Scott Pressler there. And the Republicans, I said, listen, I'll help you. I said, give me signs. Give me all these signs. I have strategic places I can put them out for you guys. I said, make me a poll watcher or whatever you need in the strongest area I need, because I won't back down for nobody. Oh, great. Take your information, but we'll drop signs off your house for you. Okay, they don't follow through. A lot of problems, like you said, with people. If you're gonna try to do an election, you have to put the work in. And the biggest thing in a successful election is getting volunteers. Or you have to be prepared. And, just going out there. Don't just think, you're going to go with this and that. No, you got to be out in the streets, go walking around, make your face known. But that's what they don't do. They all want like everybody do everything for them and not do the work. Meanwhile, they're nobody that's trying to get elected for the first time. It's not going to work like that. And that turned me away from I don't even want to go to the GOP in my county anymore. For what? Or just, that's the way they're going to act. Why should we do all the work if they don't want to even do anything for themselves? And independence, it's tough. It's tough to, get away from this two-party system. Even though we do have independence, but you have a big fight in front of you, Jen. I got to commend you guys for getting into this. This is something that's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time.
What do you think the solution is, Jen? How do you overcome this massive amount of capital that's needed? Because is grassroots education enough? I feel like sometimes the American public, it's really difficult to wake them up, because you would think right now they would be in a panic over a completely corrupted election system. You would think that they would be, completely worried about the fact that there's been lots of disclosure of criminal acts. Doesn't matter if we're talking about USAID or we're talking about, the foundations and NGOs getting money out of there, or the people that got money out of. How about the 14 magic money computers? I mean, we haven't seen any arrests for any of this stuff. Elon Musk said arrests were going to be imminent. Of course, he got out of there because the fire was too much. They were threatening his life. They were threatening his family's lives. So how do we do this? Because unlike George, I'm going to say this, there are some people that I actually do hope pass away. And that might be a miserable thing for me to say, but I can't figure another way to get them out of there. I just don't know how else we can get rid of these scumbags in DC.
I think that over the last 10 years, what we've seen is a lot more people paying attention to social media, and a lot of information goes through a lot faster. I believe that when people start seeing a ton of information and they're overloaded with what's going on and the corruption and all this, as we have been seeing, we've been seeing the things from Doge, we've been seeing that the Epstein files haven't been released. People are upset. And I think that the more that we start educating them and letting them know what's going on, first of all, we have to be able to communicate in a way that doesn't trigger them to just start defending, right? So if you start saying, oh, it's only one side or another, and they have an identity with some kind of side, you have to do it in a way that's not triggering so that they can actually listen to you. I think that when you have a lot of people on board, when a leader really comes in, a strong leader comes in and says, let's now go all this direction, people aren't going to fight to try and defend these two sides. I think they will go, wow, there's actual leadership here. Now I know what to do. Now I know where to go. But I think that when people see cheating in elections, or they see that the Epstein files aren't going through, or we're not keeping our promises, or we're seeing that tons of money is going to taxes, and then hearing that, the schools, the Leering centers, and the hospice fraud and all this kind of stuff, I think they just don't think that anything they do is going to do or like become anything. But if there was actual leadership, I think they would be willing to now get behind it. So I think what we're missing is some strong leadership. And I think the independent sector is missing a few key heads who have a voice, who have an audience, and who have some kind of connections that are able to then pull resources and pull people together and say, let's go this way. I think that RFK made a large amount of people leave and go independent. I think when you talk to Maha people, whoever is going to be the person who votes for their interests is where they're going to put support. Then you see, Tulsi left. And she, I think she's still an independent, whether or not she's, re-registered as Republican or not. I always thought of her as an independent. And then you have people like Tucker Carlson, who now said, hey, there has been so much going on here. I refuse to, be a part of this. I refuse to keep trying to prop them up or be supportive. I'm going independent. And I think if we have just a few more of those kinds of people leave the two-party system, you're going to see a lot more people start to follow behind them. And I think that you're going to start seeing the money follow behind them. I think, why would a donor want to donate to something that is not going to end up working? For example, the Spencer Pratt campaign. We wanted to get behind and be supportive of the Spencer Pratt campaign. But when you see that there's potential, fraud and corruption in that election, all that money just goes to waste. So people feel like, why would I invest? Why would I put my money? I could put it into something else. The system's not even able to be working correctly. So why would I put money? So I think once you start bringing in some people and key leaders, maybe from this two-party system and big names, you're going to start seeing money pour in. You're going to start seeing more supporters. You're going to start seeing more of their audience. And I think we're at probably the strongest point ever in American history to have something like that happen. And I think just a little bit more. I think what Tucker Carlson is doing is majorly impactful.
Is there a way where instead of saying independent, come up with a different name? Because most of the people that go independent or say they're independent always vote Democrat. Always. And it just gives it like a bad vibe right there. I mean, you need like a big social media campaign with some influencers just to even start pushing, if you're going to keep it independent, pushing that out there, getting that out there and associate it with change or whatever. But that's a start. But of course, any big name will always help. But biggest key thing is money.
A little bit different take on what's going on, in my own opinion. This is after, of course, being on social media a lot and chat rooms and lots of discussions. I think there's a large segment of the American public, Democrats and Republicans and probably nonpartisans, that are extremely angry. And when I say angry, I mean angry like pitchfork and tar angry. They're tired of the lack of accountability. They're tired of the lack of transparency. They're tired of people operating above the law, creating laws where they can insider trade, but you can't. Hiding information from the American public as if we're a bunch of children. They continue to say, oh, yeah, nothing to worry about with 9/11. Oh, that isn't what happened with COVID. Oh, it's this, it's that. And I've seen RFK, of course, Jr. make an effort to make changes in the MAHA, I guess, call it the medical vertical, the medical industrial complex. And the pushback has been unbelievable. They've attacked him to the point that I suggested when he's talking in Congress and they try to talk over him because of his speech impediment, that they ought to have a sergeant in arms that slaps people when they try to talk over him. I think it's one of the most offensive things I've ever seen, that they take advantage of the fact that he's got that minor speech impediment, and that's what they do. They behave as like children. Personally, it makes me angry. I've said it many times that, power slap would be a great way to deal with a lot of these congressional members. I've also suggested that the American people should cut off all their services, stop mowing their grass, stop doing their dry cleaning, cut off their cellular service, don't help them at the bank, don't help them at restaurants and bars, to throw out every congressional member when they walk in, state or federal. Because you can't call for violence, and I understand that. I have a dark side. Me personally, when I think of Washington, D.C., I think of a giant industrial wood chipper. I think that's the solution, because when you have people, when you've seen evil and you've looked it in the eye, there are some tremendously evil people in Washington, D.C. It's a horrible place. You can even feel the energy when you go in there, in my opinion. But we're in a situation where I think the American public is there's a large segment, and it doesn't matter what the political affiliation is online or how they voted. They're sick of the bullshit. They're sick of the theft. And, you've got Chelsea Clinton, who got $84 million from USAID for doing absolutely nothing. She's living in an $11 million mansion, and she had a $3 million wedding. I want to know why that money hasn't been clawed back. Why the money hasn't been clawed back from the 14 magic money computers. While the real investigation about Burisma in Ukraine hasn't been exposed. How come the real truth about 9/11 hasn't been exposed? The dirty 51+8, the Russian collusion hoax. Why haven't they all been arrested? See, we've got currently an administration that told us they were going to do something. They said they were going to drain the swamp. And straight up, they fucking lied to us. They haven't done shit in draining the swamp. They said they were going to fix our election system. They haven't done shit for fixing the election system. They can't even pass the SAVE Act, for God's sakes, because you got this idiot, John Thune, who's just a terrible congressional member, just a lot of talk, no action. This is probably one of the most ineffective Congresses we've ever had in history. They've passed less law that's beneficial to the American public than ever done in history. Not that I want bigger law. I think we have too much law on the books as it is when it comes to DC. But I think that for a party to be effective, they're going to have to say that they're going to bring the rain and the pain. Of course, Thomas Massey has done a lot of talking, and I appreciate the fact that I don't love everything he's done, but I appreciate his honesty. We're big fans of Tulsi Gabbard. I'd love to have her on the show. I agree with 99% of what she threw out there, but it was, horrible what's going on with her family. I wish she'd never left the administration. The point of the matter is Tulsi or is RFK Jr. or are the rest of them, in your opinion, are they ready to drop the hammer? Are they ready to drain the swamp and actually make arrests and make these people disappear? Because people like Nancy Pelosi will never stop doing what they're doing unless they're just gone. Barack Obama, I believe he lied about his presidency. I don't believe he was qualified. There's lots of questions about his birth certificate. Why hasn't that been fully investigated? The American public wants to know. Are they ready to drop the hammer on Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi? Is a new party, are they going to go after these people viciously like is necessary? Because I don't believe that evil can be fixed. I think a lot of times when you look evil in the face, evil people do evil things, and it's in their nature once they've decided to cross that line. Very few people find God. Very few people turn back. I've seen a lot of evil up close, Northern Africa and other places, and I can tell you, and I saw it on the other end of a scope, and I can tell you this, those people don't change. There's only one way to change them, and I'm not even going to go into the details of what that would require, but there's only one way to change that. And what I don't see is I see a political administration. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg being invited to the White House after $460 million in Zuckerbucks. David Sachs has got to be the biggest jackass on the planet for sitting him on one side of the Donald Trump. And then on the other side of Donald Trump is Bill Gates, allegedly 27 or 28 trips to Epstein Island. Now, those are not the kind of people I want around the White House. I don't care if they're billionaires or not. As far as I'm concerned, both of them belong in jail. Just like the Epstein files, those victims have not been made whole. You've got Ghislaine Maxwell sitting in prison for one of the biggest trafficking organizations that's been exposed. There's bigger ones, but of course this one's been exposed. What was she's the only trafficker that has no clients? I mean, not one client has been prosecuted. We haven't seen any of it. How about the people that are subverting our elections, like Reid Hoffman, the Soroses, Neville Singham Roy, the guy in China? Why haven't we just snatched those people up and just made them disappear? See, that's the problem I have. This administration has done a lot of talking. So, Jen, you tell me. Let's say that we got behind the energy of a, and I would readily get behind many of the people you just mentioned. Okay, I have an opinion. I don't love everything that Massey did, but I love the fact that he had the balls to come out and do it. RFK Jr., I've supported him from the very beginning. We've never had him on the show. We've had all the people around him. You name them, they've all been here. All the people that support him and are around him. And of course, Tulsi Gabbard, I think she's presidential material personally. But does she have the balls? And is she going to and again, I know that's a crude thing to say about a woman, but is she ready to drop the hammer if, let's say, that your party goes forward? Are these people committed to finally having the nuts to go after billionaires, to go after congressional members, to go after FBI agents, DEA, ATF, anybody that violates the laws of the United States? Are they ready to drop the hammer?
I think that it would be really hard for a few people, just a handful of people, to go in and really make any meaningful change. Our system was created very large to have a lot of different checks and balances. And when you look at it, at an entire system of 3 branches of government that are probably all, bought and controlled, what can 3 people come in and do? What could really a president even come in and do when Congress and Senate are always working against your interests? When we did everything we could to get RFK even into the position that he got into, what was he actually able to get done? I think from what I've been hearing, there's been a lot of resistance from people like Bayer and other big pharma type companies, and I just don't think that sending a few people in a small army to go against a very large army is really going to make very much of a difference. I think that when I say that we need these big voices and we need these kind of people to come in, I would mark that as the beginning of the fight, not the middle and not the end and not the solution. That is the foot in the door to open the door. But in no means do I think that 3 or 5 people are going to be able to make real difference because I think that it requires so much more. One of our strategies is to get, 3 to 5 independents into Congress. That would basically block a majority vote that goes on either side. That is still one step towards having meaningful change. We can be able to say, hey, you can't just pass that. Hey, if you want to, play ball, you got to have these kinds, these are kind of the demands here. But that's in no way a solution. We're not looking at let's fix this, in one term or in one cycle kind of deal. I think that this is going to
truly believe, Jen, not to cut you off, I truly believe that there is a large block of voters on both sides of the aisle that if a new party came in, and I don't say this is a new party, if a party came in that said change was its prerogative, that common sense was a prerogative, that everybody was going to face the consequences of the law, you might sway a vast block of voters because people are tired of this bullshit. Bill Kristol got paid $8 million a year to post on social media through USAID. I could never figure out how the guy could post so negatively every day. $8 million a year from the USAID. And you think about the magic money computers, no treasury oversight. I could just rip out checks. I could have funded the entire partisan party. Here's $100 billion of the nonpartisan party to Jen. Yeah, take care of it. The point is, that's how ridiculous the system is. And I do believe this. I think America's fed up. I know I'm pissed off. And there are lots of veterans, lots of government contractors, and lots of other people that feel just like I do. They're sick of the system. They're sick of the lies. And I believe that if a party is going to effectively come in, you can't think baby steps. You're going to have to come in and you're going to have to drop the hammer and you're going to have to say, we're willing to go on the line. And whether it makes or break you, that's a decision. We're willing to go on the line that we're literally going to go after everybody. There is not going to be any exceptions anymore. You've seen the bias in our judiciary. Our 3 branches of government were put in place by the founders and framers so that we could, in fact, have a government that could operate independently with some oversight. There's zero oversight.
All right. So you're going to need more than 4 independent seats to make a difference. That's not going to change the balance of not voting yes or no. Because right now it's like 218 to 212. So if you had 4, not going to be enough. Probably need, I would say, like maybe 8 to 10 to start getting that. But I get that. And, is there any investigations going on? There could be. We just might not know about them. I mean, that's the way you really do an investigation. They just sent more FBI agents down to Georgia again for all that election stuff. But, and I'm going to bring it to this. In order for independents to get anywhere, we still have to fix our voting system first to make any kind of change. Because if there's so much cheating, they're going to get cheated out too. Because, the Republican and Democrats, they're both in on it. Like Lance always says,
you agree, though, there's a large block of voters right now that don't want to vote for either party, that if they were told once and for all that they were going to go into D.C. with the intent to really go after everybody, every criminal there, every money launderer, every person that violated FARA violations, you name it, it didn't matter, Biden's, Obama's, Clinton's, you go after everybody.
Lance, I think people are saying with that. I think people are saying that. I don't know, because I think people are saying that, but in the end, they're going to choose the lesser of the 2 evils. But so where's I going with this? You said 2 or 3 people, though, can make a difference, in my opinion, Jen. Yeah, if you have a president, he's in charge of the executive branch. He appoints an attorney general who could start bring in investigations, which can hopefully bring arrests. And then you had Pam Bondi, who absolutely did nothing. All his AG picks so far, forget about Todd Blanche, been total waste. They have done nothing from his first term until now. Todd Blanche, we'll give him some time. I don't know how many months he's been there, but he's still the acting. We'll see what happens with him. But they can make a difference because they can start bringing up cases and arrests and indictments against some of these a bunch of these people that are doing illegal things. But it's the same. If you have a big name out there, if you have money, it's two-tier justice system. That's what we have to fix. But Lance, we're going to go to break, I guess, because
let's take a short break.
We'll
come back. We'll be talking to Jennifer Esteban. We'll be looking for solutions. Clearly, I'm agitated today. You know how I feel about this political system. I'd like to see a choice. And do I like Tulsi Gabbard? A lot. I'd like to see her in a leadership position that far exceeds anything she's been given so far. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
In a world of uncertainty, be prepared with Silver Prepper Bars, your ultimate hedge against political instability and economic turmoil. Introducing the Silver Prepper Bar, crafted from 0.999 pure silver and proudly made in the USA. This tangible, divisible asset can come in handy even in the toughest of times. Portable, perforated, and easily tradable, the Silver Prepper Bar is your lifeline in times of crisis. When facing inflation, currency devaluation, and financial meltdown, Silver Prepper Bars provide peace of mind. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Secure your future today with the exclusive Silver Prepper Bar, the only silver bar on the market divisible into 3 different size pieces for maximum utility, all while fitting in your wallet. Don't leave your future to chance. Order your Silver Prepper Bars now at prepperbar.com. Silver Prepper Bars, ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Order now.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on earth, these canine units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit warriordogfoundation.org.
All right, welcome back to the Big Mig Show. Here we're your hosts, Lance Migliaccio, George Ballantine, and our very special guest, Jennifer Esteban. I was going to do the Block Trust. Probably should do it. Yeah, let me do it. Let me give a shout out. Wait, listen. If you're in the chat or if you're out there watching or listening, come join the chat. If you're new, I'll give you a shout out on the show. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can $5 a month. Ultra MAGA Girl, don't get stressed out. That's why you got me here to switch things up. But let me give a shout out to our sponsor, Block Trust IRA. They're bringing access to cryptocurrency wealth to everyday Americans. And this is a perfect solution for the people who can't watch their crypto 24/7. Their exclusive Animus AI trading platform works 24/7, analyzing market data and executing advanced crypto strategies that go far beyond buy and hold. This sophisticated technology, once reserved only for Wall Street insiders, and now it's available to you. And this system was named #1 crypto technology platform by Bitcoin Magazine out of more than 1,500 global competitors. Our clients are already seeing over 250% returns on their investments, all military-grade security and up to $200 million insurance. Your wealth is fully protected. So don't wait. Visit bigmigcrypto.com today and see how you can join this financial revolution. Once again, visit bigmigcrypto.com today and you get up to $2,500 of free crypto. The QR code's right here on the screen. Take a screenshot. The link's in the chat and the link's in the more section under the video. All right, Jen, I'm going to open up the floodgates for you. I know
Thank
that
you.
Before we went to break, I know you wanted to comment, so I don't want to take nothing away from you. Let it rip.
Well, what I wanted to say is the last thing I said almost ended with like, there's nothing that independents can do. 3 to 5 doesn't really make a difference. What I want to communicate is that, one, that's a foot in the door. But when you try and elect people and you say, hey, these 3 to 5 are going to be able to make a big difference, we still have to think that the two-party system is going to be clawing at those people, putting out bad press, putting out bad propaganda, whatever it is. They're going to be making threats. They're going to be trying to make smear campaigns. There's going to be something that's trying to work against them. That's not going to allow them to fully be able to run and do the thing that they said that they wanted to do. But what I like to think about is that line in the Declaration of Independence that's at the very end, where it says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it's the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute new government. And I think that what we have is we have so many people who are so upset, who don't like what the two-party system is going. They don't like the people who are getting rich off of, Congress and Senate and other, places of power. They don't like seeing people commit crimes and not go to jail and not even lose their jobs. Meanwhile, regular people would be losing their jobs. They'd be canceled. They wouldn't even be able to get a job in the future. They'd lose their homes. It's just not the same kind of playing field. It's unequal. And I think that when people get so upset and they have an opportunity to go, let's now start electing a bunch of independents. Let's start actually removing some of these people that we don't like. Let's be louder than the propaganda. Then I think we'll see change much faster, and we'll be able to kind of majority out a lot of the propaganda. When we become unsusceptible to the propaganda and to the lies, it doesn't work on us anymore. Now we have an open lane to just run with the things that we want to push. So I would say that we need to remove a lot of the people that are in government, whether they're evil themselves and doing all these bad things, or they're just voting down the ballot with whatever their party tells them. I think we need to just do a major replacement on a lot of them. And 3 to 5 people is a foot in the door. It's a message. I think it's very symbolic to say there's an opportunity for independence, but that is the beginning of the fight, not the end, not the middle.
Yeah, well, you know what? We always got to fight, no matter what. You got to fight for what you believe in. I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, right? And definitely there's a will. So there is a way. It's just, anything worthy, I think, in life, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time, but you need the right people to start it off. And I think we got one right here in front of us, Lance.
And I think part of the messaging, I think is what we're saying is, messages like being on the same page around anti-corruption and around accountability and making sure that it's applying to everybody. These are the kind of messages that I think will unite people. I think the Epstein file problem has united people from both left and right, from everywhere, because nobody likes the things that are happening there. I think these kinds of topics, when we see our government not going after them, these end up being our uniting topics. This is what actually will bring everybody across different political, parties and values together. And I don't think they realize that by both of them pushing these topics down, they're actually creating more ways for the people to find ways to reunite.
Yeah, I think anytime there's corruption and lies, I think it's a chance for unity, because the more of that's exposed, I just wish that we would see the process that would happen to any of us, that would happen to you, Jen, myself, or George. If we got caught in even 1/10 of this corruption, we'd be looking at a 10 to 20 mandatory minimum. And that's the problem. There's a different class of citizens, and people are tired of a different class of citizens. They don't want to see these people. They don't want to see MTG leaving in a short period of time, having gone from a $700,000 net worth to a $25 million net worth. They don't want to see that kind of stuff. That's not what, again, our founders and framers, being in Congress was supposed to be a part-time job. You were supposed to go in there and serve, and then you were supposed to go back to your farm or your tobacco plantation or whatever else you had going on. You weren't supposed to be in there permanently. I know the job has gotten a lot more complicated as government's gotten more complicated, but this full-time position, maybe one of the biggest problems we have. And then, of course, you've got things like absolute immunity, qualified immunity. In my book, the only person that gets absolute immunity is God, and he gets that just because of who he is, or she is, or what is. The point is this, that my feeling is that that's the difficulty, right? We're dealing with a judiciary that hides behind absolute immunity, that's biased, and that they create so many problems. How many cases have we had to take that have come against Donald Trump's administration just in this very short term that had to be taken all the way to the Supreme Court to get a fair ruling because of the bias? I think lifetime appointment, that's got to be the most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Basically, and the truth is, the oversight branches, Office of Professional Responsibility, Public Integrity Division, OIG, Civil Rights Division, they do absolutely nothing. Even when judges violate their judicial canons, they don't even get sanctioned, let alone ever fired, and let alone criminally charged when they get caught covering up or hiding exculpatory evidence, which many of them have participated in, especially the J6 judges as an example.
All right, Jen. Sorry, Lance. I want to bring up for Jen. So, because she's got a way. There's a will. There's a way, and you have a big convention coming up, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to pull up the website. It is what? independentnationalconvention.com. It's in September 23rd to 25th. You talk about it, and I'll just scroll. You tell me where to go.
Yeah, so this is our fourth convention. We started our first one in 2020. This is a place where both people and also stakeholders in the independent movement will be showing up to, one, build bridges and be able to meet other people. Anybody who's interested in potentially donating to the independents can come and see what's being built. We're bringing together the different independent parties. We're bringing different reform groups, from ballot access to open primaries, to different ways of voting, all these kinds of, how to speak, all these kinds of groups. Then we have speakers. We're bringing in media. We're bringing in podcasters. We're bringing in candidates. We're bringing in people who are currently in office, all to talk about these kinds of topics that we talked about today. What is happening here in America? What is it that we can really build in the next few years? What is it that needs to be built on a long term? How can people work with others in that room and start building bridges and start building towards something? How can somebody build some tech that's needed over here that these people can then use, that saves them, X amount of dollars on their next campaign, for example? And what can the voters come and see and take away back to their families, back to their communities, and say, hey, there's something real being built here. You guys got to pay attention. These are the people that I saw, and these are the connections that I made. And so it's going to be September 23rd through 25th. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in Washington, D.C. We got a space right about a block away from the White House, so super central location. And we're expecting a really great lineup of speakers. So I highly recommend people who can attend that they do come and attend. It's very fun, and people come back to this year after year.
That's awesome. So also you have your website too, United Independence. I'm going to bring that up so you can talk about that too. So we get people involved.
Yeah. So what United Independence is it's an organization that realized and saw that there was an area in the independent space where everybody was trying to build all these organizations one at a time, and basically everybody was reinventing the wheel. And we said, what if these organizations are actually able to work better together? What if instead of you building this thing that I already built, why don't you build this part of the component, and then we work together and we partner together? And how can we see everything that's out there, and how can we bring it into partnerships? So we're building a coalition and have been building a coalition, and we bring in partnerships, we bring in opportunities, we connect people, and we make sure that conversations are happening. And then our big place for people to come and meet in person is the Independent National Convention. So we exist so that to bring just kind of a backbone of infrastructure to the independent space.
Now, I just clicked on it. Volunteers. I mean, for some people that may want to do more than just send a check for the support. What are you volunteering for? Just the website, or for the convention too? What is that? What is this?
Yeah, so people might come here and want to volunteer, and then we'll get more information around what they're interested in. We've also got these other partnerships in our ecosystem who need volunteers, whether it's through our PAC or super PAC. We've got a couple nonprofits that need volunteers. So we like to talk to people and say, hey, if you want to volunteer, maybe this is where you want to come volunteer. So we send people out through here.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, there's no doubt. I think it's great to have options. I actually love what you're doing. I hope that maybe what the message they'll convey is some of what I just discussed. I know it's an extreme take on it, but I'm very hopeful that something's going to happen because we've registered as Republicans. We voted Republican simply because I was told something that didn't happen. And I think the American public is tired of having promises not get delivered on. They've suffered the consequences of the pandemic. They've suffered the consequences of hyperinflation. Joe Biden didn't care about anybody but himself and his cronies. We've seen this, really in the administration after administration after administration. As George said earlier, Donald Trump made some horrendous choices in his first cabinet. I didn't like Mike Pence from the day they chose him. I felt uncomfortable about Mike Pence right out of the gate. He just didn't. There was a vibe he gave off. Bill Barr. I immediately cringed when he picked that fat son of a bitch. And what did he do? He proved me right, and so many others did also. So I would love to see some unification of the public. The American public needs unity. They got to get out of this division and chaos thing. But I hope that whatever administration gets in, they start focusing on the mainstream media, and they make it so that they can't do what they're doing, that they can't stay in business if they take a presidential interview like they did with Kamala Harris and they alter it. I think 60 Minutes should have been forced out of business right on the spot. They should have said, sorry, we're taking your license. Why? Because what you did is you manipulated an election. You interfered with a federal election by doing what you did. But again, they're still in business. And that's the thing. I think each one of these little things that happens, and I say they're not little on what happened to the people. It's impactful what happens to the American people. But J6, then you take the Kamala Harris interview, and you take the insider trading, and you take this, and you take this. And all of this is mounting up where I think people are extremely frustrated. I'd love to see what you're doing here just take off. So whatever we can do to help you, Jen, I'm motivated, especially if Tulsi's going to be maybe one of the top choices, president or vice president, if that's the position she runs in. I would support Tulsi, just out of the gate unequivocally, because I believe she's not a bullshitter. And I would argue that if we could get people in power, in the highest levels of power, that some of these things could be solved very quickly, but you have to do it viciously. You wouldn't be able to do it in an amicable, negotiable way, because these people you can't negotiate with. I think they've proven themselves to be nefarious, and they sure as hell don't care about us. Even now, it seems like billionaires, that's the privilege in D.C. Doesn't matter what you did, you can still sit next to Donald Trump if you got a B in front of your financial statement.
So didn't Deepak song We Rise was Together We Rise, wasn't that written for your first initial convention and your official anthem?
Yeah, Together We Rise is how we sign off. It's basically our tagline, our motto. It's how we sign off on all our emails. And he worked with Christopher Live to create the original version of that song, and then he played it at the 2023 Austin Independent National Convention. And then Deepak ran with it, and everybody loved the song, and he's been playing it everywhere.
Yeah, didn't he just he just did a remake of it, right? Didn't he? And also I heard it was doing very well on the charts, correct?
Yeah, he did. He produced it a very different way, and so it's a completely new version. He changed a lot of the lyrics and just updated it a lot. So yeah, it's a version 2 now. He's been getting a lot of listens on that song. It's been a major promotion.
So Jen, give me your social media. Where do people follow you to get more of this? To follow your different groups? Give them everything on X or wherever else you want people to find you right now.
So if they want to follow United Independence, I would go on our Instagram at united.independence. And then on our website, we also have links to our different social media profiles. If you want to follow me, I'm mostly big on my stories. That's where I really do the most talking. And so mine is Jennifer Vision on Instagram.
Is Deepak around right now? I don't want him to come on. Is he around?
He's somewhere in the house.
So when you're done, you could yell at him, put him on the couch tonight. Say, how come you weren't in the chat, bro?
Exactly. Jen, I see you've got the American flag up behind you there. I like your office the way you've got it laid out. I have mine up, but mine's a black flag, if you know what that is, because I believe we're a country in peril. I don't really trust what's going on. I don't see the answers. So hopefully I'll be able to put the other flag back up soon. Maybe you'll be part of that. I love what you guys are doing. I hope I didn't catch you off guard with some of my attack mode here, but a lot of it has to do with I'm frustrated. We did a lot of promoting for Donald Trump. We did a lot of promoting for him on social media, on our shows. We interviewed lots of top people, including Kash Patel, and they have done jack shit. And it makes me angry because that's what they ran on. You know, government gangsters draining the swamp. So I'm in a struggle mentally right now. I try not to let it get me into the dark side thinking, but yeah, I can tell you that they're lucky I'm not president of the United States. They wouldn't like the result overnight. They'd probably be very dissatisfied. So Jen, last thing, again, one more plug. Everybody, just give all the plugs one more time. This is a shameless plug moment before we close out here.
Yeah, if anybody wants to come, I encourage people to join us at the Independent National Convention. So you can get tickets at independentnationalconvention.com. If you want to learn more about our orgs and what we're doing, you can go to unitedindependence.us. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on united.independence on Instagram. And then we have some other social profiles that I don't memorize, but they're on our website. And then if you want to follow me and stay in contact, I do a lot of talking on my stories mainly. It's Jennifer Vision. Pretty much I'm Jennifer Vision everywhere.
Jen, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on. We need options, that's for sure. This reminds me of that commercial where the kid says he just wants waffles. I just want truth. I just want honesty. I just want common sense. I want the right things for the American public. I want the right things for our country, not what we have right now. Division and chaos, two parties that one's a sham, the other one's actively destroying the country, the other one sits on the sidelines doing nothing. I don't want this kind of Congress in place. I don't want them becoming rich on the backs of Americans. So I'd love to see a solution like this take off. So whatever you guys can do to get involved, support Jen, find her. Those follows all matter. They matter for this show. So follow us on Rumble, follow us over on YouTube, and of course on Locals, and of course on all social media, G. Ballantine, Lance Miliaccio, and The Big Mig Show, George Ballantine, everywhere else besides X. They give him the extra letter. So Jen, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate you, and I appreciate the work you're doing. I know this isn't easy, but that battle has to be fought for the American public, and you're doing the right thing. George, last words, my brother, on the way out the door.
It's just another manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday. I don't know. Keep your heads up. All right. Ultra MAGA Girl 45 is going in right now in a little bit to take her test and become a corrections officer. Well, good luck. Email me and let me know how you did. I'm curious to know. info@thebigmig.com. Everybody have a blessed day. Jennifer, it was a pleasure. Smack Deepak in the back of the head for me because he deserves it. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit blocktrustira.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
In a world of uncertainty, be prepared with Silver Prepper Bars, your ultimate hedge against political instability and economic turmoil. Introducing crafted from 0.999 pure silver and proudly made in the USA. This tangible, divisible asset can come in handy even in the toughest of times. Portable, perforated, and easily tradable, the Silver Prepper Bar is your lifeline in times of crisis. When facing inflation, currency devaluation, and financial meltdown, Silver Prepper Bars provide peace of mind. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Secure your future today with the exclusive Silver Prepper Bar, the only silver bar on the market divisible into 3 different size pieces for maximum utility, all while fitting in your wallet. Don't leave your future to chance. Order your Silver Prepper Bars now at prepperbar.com. Silver Prepper Bars, ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Order now.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these K9 units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit warriordogfoundation.org.